Okay, looks like we've got the mic up. Hey everybody, meteorologist Terry Capel with you here about 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Thursday, April 23rd. Wanted to provide a little bit of information regarding a potential violent tornado that may be on the ground right now across portions of southeast Georgia. They're calling this a particularly dangerous situation. It's rain wrapped, it's ugly, but I did want to pop on and just kind of watch this for a few minutes as it approaches the southeastern Georgia coast. Here's a look at the broader picture from our primary radar source. There are now multiple tornado warnings that are in effect across southeast Georgia. So let's broaden out so everybody can see the territory that we're looking at. This is an enhanced risk day, so we knew this would be a possibility. But I've been watching some really ugly radar imagery coming from this cell approaching the towns of Darien and just north of Brunswick, Georgia. Separate tornado warning was just recently issued a little bit further to the south, so we're going to monitor both areas during this update. I'll take you over to live analyst radar in just a moment. We can see what those winds are doing, and they've been really pretty disturbing. At one point we were tracking close to 200 mile per hour gate to gate shear. Nothing to sniff at, and it maintains a very intense look about it. This is coming from the Jacksonville radar, where we're scanning the storm at about 4,000 feet. And looking at these numbers here, where again just a short while ago we were looking at something close to 200 mile per hour gate to gate, just really awful gate to gate shear. Now it looks like it's come down a little bit, but we're still talking on the order of about 130 to 140 mile per hour gate to gate shear. Here we go. There's about 140 mile per hour gate to gate shear with this as it's approaching the towns of Sterling. You need to be in your safe place right now. Also in line, Dock Junction. The town of Darien looks like it's going to take a hit. Reading from the Weather Service's warning, tornado warning for portions of McIntosh County goes until 3:45. A confirmed large, extremely dangerous tornado was located over Thalman, moving east at about 50 miles per hour. They're calling this a PDS, or a particularly dangerous situation. It has been confirmed on radar, and we believe it's rain wrapped, waiting for some images to come in from the different social medias. And don't want to ignore the tornado warning to the south. It does not look quite as dangerous, but still seeing some rotation from a storm. That other tornado warning in effect for northwestern Camden, southwestern Glynn, southeastern Brantley, east central Ware, and northern Charlton County in Georgia. Again, this is pretty nasty looking squall line. We call this QLCS. It's a quasi-linear convective system where it's capable of producing some very intense areas of rotation. So embedded supercells is what we're looking at. So Glynn County, Brantley County, Wayne County, you're underneath multiple warnings. One from a cell approaching from the south, and the primary reason for concern is the one up here to the north. Taking a look at, again, the center of that circulation, I'm going to place a marker where I'm seeing it on the velocity, showing up right on the front end of what looks like that rear flank downdraft. Now, we superimpose the image on the left with correlation coefficient, and seeing what appears to be likely a tornado. This is a TDS, or tornado debris signature, which appears to be again in line with where we've been watching. And another thing that you can oftentimes tell looking at CC, which is on the right, in the presence of debris in the atmosphere, you'll have a shadow down line from the actual radar. And watch how you get this linear spike. I'm going to point this out. Let me pull out my telestrator here. It's this little spike right here. You see it as it's moving. Let me move with it. And I'll pause it for a second. But literally what this is radar. The radar signal is being attenuated by debris that's in the atmosphere. So look at the radar, which is here in Jacksonville. The radar beam is shooting this way. It hits debris in the atmosphere here where you have the TDS, and then areas downwind, or downstream I should say, are being attenuated or blocked. It's a signal that there's significant debris up in the sky. So we do believe this is on the ground. We do believe that it is doing damage, and we just hope that it stays far enough away from the main population centers, but I'm not so sure that that's going to be the case. There's quite a few people that live here on this stretch. Is that Interstate 95? It's about to cross Interstate 95, and again, between Brunswick and Darien, that's a pretty populated area from everything I can see. So that's the reason we're on here, providing some level of coverage. Again, I will be looking for images coming in from social media here in a moment. I was doing some scans earlier where it appears to be a large rain shaft, but it's difficult to actually see the funnel on the ground. Echo Warden on here, is it possible for the tornado to travel and sustain over the ocean? Well, we saw one just the other day in Florida that actually strengthened once it hit the ocean waters, which was very, very strange. Vivi on here, hi, checking in, haven't had a chance to check in here before. I'll BRB, I'm worried about a friend, gonna check in to make sure they're safe. Phoebe, thanks for being here, and if you don't mind, subscribe to this channel. It's way south of Atlanta. Atlanta's just fine, there's no problems there. So you can see that line of nasty, nasty thunderstorms. The one particular cell, again, potentially tornadic. We believe it is on the ground based on everything that we're seeing right here. And again, it's going towards a population center. This is along that Interstate 95 corridor, particularly north of Brunswick, north of Dock Junction, very close to the town of Darien. A couple thousand people live here in that town. But I do know that there's a bit of a sprawl in this area that, again, if this thing remains on the ground as it is, could be very, very dangerous. Seeing some new radar imagery coming in as we speak. This is 100-mile-per-hour winds moving away from the radar site. 100 miles per hour moving away from the radar site. You jump to the other side, we've got 40 to 50 mile per hour moving the other way. So it's 140 to 150 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. And let's see how that lines up with, and there it is, what appears to be a debris up in the, perhaps lofted. So that's the TDS, the tornadic debris signature. So that continues to be steady with what we're watching right here. Let's go back over to our other radar source, take another advantage point of this. And I'm going to pan out a little bit, kind of give you a little bit of perspective. Again, very limited portion of the southeastern United States at this point, particularly far southeastern Georgia. They're not exactly, they don't typically see a ton of tornadic activity, but this this storm, again, it's maintaining strength and looks like it's going to be causing a bit of a mess. All right, so we are getting some images now of a tornado. Let's make sure this is the area. No, very difficult what we're looking at here. Let me continue to monitor for these images and see if we can't get some sort of real-time image up for you of what it looks like underneath that. This is not an area that's storm chased very frequently. Okay, so this was a little while earlier. I can show you what it looked like. This is like 30 minutes ago. So this thing has been producing, or it's been trying to produce a tornado for a while. Let me make sure I get this up for you. This is the way it looked 30 minutes ago, and this was tweeted by the governor, Governor Brian Kemp. Here you go. And this is really before it began to get very strong. I'm not sure why that's not playing out. Give me a second. Oh, I know why. Let's try this instead. Okay, give me a second. We'll get that image up, and here you go. Well, maybe we'll get it up. Let's try one more thing here. Okay, there we go. Finally. All right, so we got that image up. That is from the governor of what appears to be a tornado on the ground. That was a while ago. That was before this thing became completely rain-wrapped. So I'm going to see if we've got new images coming in. I'll continue to scan. In the meantime, we'll go back over to radar. And then analyst radar, again, showing where we've got that really nasty looking circulation. It's very close to the Interstate 95 corridor right now. So that's I-95, that red line that moves north and south. And looking at some of these colors here, grief. I don't know if I've ever seen a single gate at 143 miles per hour. It's 143 miles per hour moving one way, away from the radar source. Let's hope that's garbage. I hope it's garbage, because that's terrible. Okay, but I'm measuring 143. One way, you go to the other side, 30. It's about a 170 mile per hour gate to gate. That's pretty tight circulation. There is a reason to believe there's a TDS on top of that as well. That's a tornadic debris signature. Getting very close to the town of Darien, just south of Darien. Now we're seeing some images that are coming in. This appears to be from Oklahoma yesterday. Still looking. Again, this is an area that there's quite a bit of forestation. It's difficult to see tornadoes in this terrain. It's not that it's that hilly, but there is some terrain. But there's a lot of forestation, and it makes it difficult to get a visual. This is the way it looked earlier. Trying to get a visual on this storm. It's coming over. This is from Channing Frampton. That's ABC 27. Is that out of Savannah, maybe? You can see that. This is a spotter, and it's difficult to see if it's on the ground in here. Completely rain wrapped. Completely rain wrapped. Might be on the ground. It's difficult to say. But again, based on the radar information, we have radar confirmation. What does that mean? If something is confirmed on radar, how can it be confirmed and it's just a radar image? Well, through the TDS, that's the tornadic debris signature. A radar can tell when debris has been lofted up in the sky. And that's what we've been looking at. So I'm going to go back over to that. And that, again, that signature is pretty bad. That's pretty awful signature. Where we're seeing a huge amount of air that's rushing away from the radar site. Again, locally 120, 140 mile per hour one way, you go to the other side. And I mean, we're looking at something like 160 to 170 mile per hour gate to gate. And again, that TDS signature, it remains in place. Let's see what the latest is coming in from the Weather Service. And I'm going to see if I can pull up their chat while we're talking here. And let's see where that Weather Service is coming out of. And we are going to go down to, is it Jacksonville or Charleston? It looks like it's right on the line. We're going to try Jacksonville, Florida first. I should have that information coming up here in just a couple of moments. Okay, so I'm pulling that up now. Okay, so let's see. Broaden our perspective. You got the second cell to the south. It does not look as imminent. Although I say that, now that one's beginning to spin a little bit harder as well. Alright, so there's the new information coming in from the Weather Service. Deadly tornado about to cross I-95 from Sterling towards Darien. This is an incredibly dangerous, life-threatening tornado. That's coming in from the National Weather Service in Jacksonville, Florida. So again, we at the, you can't overplay your safety on this. When you know, moments count. This is your moment to take shelter in Darien. This is it. It's moving into the town of Darien, a population of about 2,000 people. From all we can tell, this is a very large, very dangerous tornado. So don't want to mince words, and certainly want to encourage people to do the right thing. I believe ABC 27 is out of Tallahassee. Could be wrong, says Jacob. Jacob, thank you. And I know you're from down in that area, so we appreciate that. Jacob Gooding. He's one of our moderators. It's good to see Jack Allen on here from Rochester TV Archive. Hey, Jack. All right, Rain Wrapped says Echo Warden, and in a wooded area as well, which makes it very difficult. This is not a very good chase area, but again, the signature that we're seeing on radar is really bad. I would be very surprised if there was not a large tornado on the ground. Well, in fact, we're almost 100% positive it is on the ground based on the signature that we're seeing. Again, the TDS, tornadic debris signature, lining up very well with where we're seeing this most intense rotation. New velocities coming in. We're looking at gates of approximately 95 one way, 60 the other. So 155 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear with this thing. Let's put this into motion. It's an embedded supercell. It's embedded in a QLCS, or quasi-linear convective system, in a very, very high CAPE environment and good dynamics. They had this area pegged for an enhanced risk earlier today, and it does appear as if that's coming true. All right, so I'm looking for new images, and again, it's crossing that Interstate 95 corridor now. The town of Darien, it may unfortunately take a direct hit. The town of Darien is about to get ambushed. I do hope they saw this coming. The storm's been on the ground, or they've been issuing warnings with this storm for quite a while. So we can just hope and pray that these guys are doing the right thing. Get out of harm's way. Get out of harm's way. I'm looking over the latest images coming in from social media. Again, this is not the type of storm that you saw images yesterday coming in from Oklahoma, and then later for parts of Texas and Louisiana, where that's chase country. It's wide open, and storms typically are higher base, and you can see the funnel. This thing is going to have a low base to it, and it's going to be shrouded by trees. It's very difficult to catch these. And unfortunately, even as large as it is, you're going to have a hard time seeing a cloud from the horizon from what may be a funnel. This is a very, very serious signature that we're looking at right here, right now. Okay, not to ignore the other cell that is located directly to the south, as it's also showing some signs of rotation as well. That's a tornado warning for Jerusalem. Hopefully you've taken your precautions there. That's Tarboro, White Oak, and Woodbine. Twin cells. It's the northern one that by far is stealing the show, as it should. This is the one that looks the most dangerous. I'm showing a gate of 128 miles per hour one way and 43 the other way. 130 plus 40. I mean, that's 175 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. Grief. So that's very concerning. I'm going to take a look at the other radar here and see if we can't get a little more perspective on this. WSV3 here showing those temperatures ahead of the storm. It's 88 degrees in Jacksonville. 88. You get behind it, it's 63 in Macon. So there's a 25-degree difference right there. Let's take a look at these dew point temperatures. Dew points running middle, upper 60s. And I'm going to take a look at some real-time, see where that front is located. And there's a look at the pressures. And do we have pressure fall on this one? We do not. Either way, the threat is here, just north of the town of Brunswick. I'm going to bring up Jacksonville radar over here as well. Okay, so that's loading. See if we can't take off the US radar. You can kind of see what we're doing here. As the storms continue to make their way towards the coast, the threat will go away to everybody but mariners here in just a little while. But what a signature we have on radar. Still scanning my social medias, by the way, looking for any information about this storm. Again, unlike what we were tracking yesterday for you, this is very difficult to get a visual on because of the terrain, the cloud base. It's going to be very low to the ground. But again, the signature continues to show very dramatically that there is likely a large destructive tornado on the ground. Still looking at gate to gate, somewhere in the order. Looks like it's come down a tick, maybe 150 mile per hour gate to gate shear. Still showing up with the CC, or the correlation coefficient. Also seeing another debris signature from that other cell, or it could be a hail spike. I guess that could be hail as well. Let's see if we are getting any hail. Yeah, okay, that could be hail, a hail signature. So if you're in Darien, you're probably getting pummeled by hail, but that could be the least of your concerns. Don't worry about the hail. You need to get underground if you're not already. Okay, NWS chiming in here. We are going to continue the tornado warning for the storm moving east of Camden County. Large hail and damaging winds are also expected in addition to a tornado. Continue to scan for any pictures coming in, and we've got nothing. And again, not a lot of chasers in that part of the world. It's doubtful that your traditional chasers, you're not going to find a reed timmer probably chasing this area unless it's under a moderate to a high risk. It was enhanced. Okay, I'll continue to monitor that. In the meantime, who do we have on the channel right now? We've got about 40 people right now. Thank you for being here. If you don't mind a share of this channel, and please subscribe to my channel. I know you know, it's kind of new, kind of just getting this thing started over the last year, and I haven't been up as often as I would like, but it's for situations like this that I need to be here. I'm a 20-year veteran meteorologist. I've got my AMS and my CBM certificates, so hopefully you find value in this channel. Thank you for being here. Jacob doing a great job helping with the moderation. Thank you very much, Jacob. This region isn't part of Dixie Alley. No, this is not considered traditional Dixie Alley at all. This is an area that typically doesn't get that many tornadoes every year, but this is appears to be a violent storm. And here we are again, looking at these thresholds way up there. I'm looking at these gates, 113 one way and about 32 the other way, so 145, 150 mile per hour gate to gate shear. That's super intense. Jim Perry on here, those poor people. I just hope they're underground, Jim. I just hope they're underground. So the town of Darien almost took a direct hit. Looks like just the south side of Darien, but there's still a pretty good population center that runs through that area, and hopefully everybody's heeding the warning. It's heading now towards the coast. That's Sapelo Island. Sapelo Island, you are next in line, again, for what appears to be potentially a violent tornado. To the south, new tornado warnings have been issued. Jacob mentioned this, tornado warning for northern Camden, Glynn County, and northeastern Brantley County. That goes until 4:15. Put all this in motion for you here. I'm going to check in on the other radar as well. I thought we were getting some level 2 oh, here it is. All right, bringing up level 2 on our WSV3, showing multiple warnings. I'll mention there are other severe thunderstorm warnings outside of this, but this is the way it looks. Okay, there's a look at that nasty looking squall line. It's a QLCS, a quasi-linear convective system capable of some quick spin-ups, but in one case, especially for that area that's now approaching the coast near Darien, that's where it appears to be a long track tornado. This thing's likely been on the ground for quite a while. Okay, getting new information coming in from the National Weather Service out of Jacksonville. I'll take that. Just a moment. Let's come back over to analyst radar, and this storm rapidly approaching the coast. There you go, Sapelo Island, and man, what an ugly signature that is. Good grief. Wow. These yellows here, I'm showing a gate of about 116 miles per hour one direction. 116 versus about 30 to 40 miles per hour. That's 150 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. Still, right now, 150 mile per hour gate-to-gate. Take a look at the in-rod here. Normalized rotation, spiking up well over 2. Where's it at? The in-rod. Let me pull it up. Yeah, in-rod spiking at around 2. This has come down just a little bit from where it was. Not much, just a skosh where it spiked out at right at 2. Now it's just under. So that's an algorithm that helps to determine the likelihood of a tornado. And look where this thing goes with respect to the town of Darien, just south of the town center. Now it continues to cruise to the east. Sapelo Island, you're next. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to this part of Georgia before. I do know that it's heavily forested. Let's see, Sapelo Island in Georgia. Okay, it's a state protected barrier island. Hopefully it means that there's not too many people living out there. Is that what that means? State protected. There's some roads. There are likely people that live here. So that island's a bad place to be. It's water is all over the place down here. It's probably a pretty area to visit. Maybe not so much after this. Let's hope not. All right, Weather Service. The entire line is heading towards the Atlantic coast from Cumberland Island north towards Sea Island over the next half hour. This is a very dangerous complex and will produce severe winds of 60 to 70 mile per hour. Large hail, 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter, and there is rotation in the line. So they're talking about the line of storms that's approaching further south. So this is not the tornado warned area. Well, it is, but it's that separate warning. So that whole area they've kind of bound, and I think they have them underneath a tornado warning because that area would be prone to a quick spin up south of the main supercell, which again is rapidly heading towards the coast right now. I'm going to take another check of Twitter and see if we have any images coming in. In the meantime, you're looking at kind of the larger perspective here. Another area of rotation, mesovortex starting to shape up for the cell across western Glynn, heading towards Sterling once again. I-95 for the entire county is under the gun for severe winds. Northern tier from Dock Junction toward Altamaha River Basin. Tornado threat is there as well. Okay, we've got somebody from the media says they've got a live shot on TV now, checking back. Okay, so they're trying to get a shot of the storm. Maybe they can share on Twitter. We will see. And not seeing any live images on Twitter right now. Again, it's likely rain wrapped. It's likely very difficult to see this storm. Let me keep looking though. See if there's anything new. I don't see anything new. Who do we have on the channel right now? About 50 people, so good crowd. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm meteorologist Jeremy Capel. I'm your host. And this channel is designated to tracking high-end severe weather events, especially when they involve higher population areas. And so obviously you're talking about the East Coast, southeastern Georgia. It just crossed over the Interstate 95 corridor. A lot of people in line, so we wanted to make sure that we were on here to provide this warning. This storm, the primary threat, will shortly be moving out to sea. But the entire area is bracketed with severe thunderstorm warnings and also tornado warnings as we speak. So there's a look at the primary radar, analyst radar. We'll go back over to our other radar source, just kind of get a different angle of it, and you can see where those individual cells have been located. And they're all tracking very quickly, about 50 miles per hour, running off to the east. So very, very quickly. You see that one right there. It's going to make a beeline right for the coast. Further south, across the Florida Panhandle, there's a tornado watch in effect. You also have individual severe thunderstorm warnings, but the most dangerous area north of Brunswick, it continues. Darien, the threat has passed you. I can show you that from our other vantage point. Here it is from analyst radar. And that main threat, again, we've been looking at what is potentially a long-tracked violent tornado. Still showing a tremendous amount of spin. These individual pixels are moving away from the radar site close to 100 miles per hour. I will say that the rotation is looking a little bit broader. It's no longer necessarily gate-to-gate shear. So the rotation broadening a bit. Let's see if we still have a TDS or a tornadic debris signature associated with this. And it's there. It's not as pronounced, but it's there. So possible debris still lofted by this. We're seeing hail spikes in the correlation coefficient as well. And again, this is should be a very sparsely populated area with Sapelo Island. Darien is where I'm really kind of fearing that maybe some of the worst could have occurred. The town of Darien, located right there along the Interstate 95 corridor, almost took a direct hit. It went just south of Darien. Okay, we've got Lexui 2K. I'm in Brunswick, Georgia. Hear a lot of lightning. Okay, thank you, Tiger Gaming on here. Where are you at? Kevin on here. I just watched it on their live stream. That was coming in from who? Who's got the live stream up? Okay, luckily Darien didn't take much of a hit. Barely any population just south of Darien. Good. That's coming in from Always Fair. I'm glad to hear that. Kevin says the Weather Channel confirmed the tornado on the ground, I'm assuming. 130 miles over an area not expecting tornadoes raises much concern for sure. Well, not expecting, but they did have the enhanced risk, and it's still in effect. I'll have that up for you in a moment. So it's not that they didn't expect severe weather, it's just that they don't typically get this type of severe weather. Here's a look at that. Again, the Storm Prediction Center, they had the right area identified. So that's what you're looking at there in the orange. Let me remove the radar for a moment. So now all you're looking at here are the individual warnings, the watch, but again, the area that's bracketed here in this orange, this is their enhanced risk of severe weather, which does and oftentimes includes tornadoes. They were in a 10% risk today for tornadoes, so I think the Storm Prediction Center did a good job with this. You can see the entire area in yellow here, bracketed in that slight risk of severe weather, which does go as far south as Tampa, Florida. Okay, you're watching Weather Live on YouTube. Hopefully, you're on here. And I appreciate you guys stopping in. If you don't ordinarily watch the program, consider subscribing. It is a newer channel, and my focus is to hone in on areas of higher level severe weather, such as tornadoes and hurricanes making landfall, and severe winter weather as well. This is a channel I'm looking to grow, and we appreciate you guys being here. And at the same time, we won't be spending too much more time together with this particular episode because that threat is now making its way out to sea, I'm happy to say. Here's a look at analyst radar showing that intense rotation does continue. It's now about to make an exit from Sapelo Island. And look at that. 120 mile per hour winds moving away from the radar site. It is broader though. The gates have opened up, so it's not like what we were seeing earlier. Okay, so Kevin on here talking about he thinks another tornado watch should be issued. Let's see, where's the watch at? Oh, I see what you're doing because it's kind of going to the northern edge of the watch area. Okay, they're going to continue the tornado warning for Camden and Glynn counties until 4:15. I think technically, this is Kevin. Technically, Kevin, they've got all the counties they need covered. You mean to the south for Jacksonville? I don't think Jacksonville is technically underneath a watch. So maybe they'll consider tacking on some counties with this thing digging further south, but at the same time, I don't think the environment's quite the same down there as well. But that's an impressive signature. We've been watching it, and these yellow gates, and there we go. It's finally broadening. This is okay. This is a better looking signature. Hopefully, the threat is lifting. It doesn't matter because it's moving over open water. So now it's just becoming a fish storm. Kevin says Alabama might be looking at a new tornado watch later, and that might be the case because this is well in advance of the main front. Let's take a look, kind of that broader perspective now. Okay, rotation still broad across northern Glynn County. Not tight or low level from our vantage point. Classic bookend vortex. Southern section of the line moving across Camden County is now the greatest threat for tornado. Alright, let's see where those fronts are located at. Okay, so we're probably seeing some clearing in here, and I think we are. I'll pull up current satellite information. Okay, so that really is going to depend on whether they see some clearing. Talking about that threat of severe weather into portions of Alabama. There's a warm front lifting north. They've got considerable overcast right now. Here's a look at the way it looks from the visible satellite, showing those clouds. Considerable mid and high level clouds, but they could destabilize underneath that. So I certainly wouldn't rule out another round of some severe weather developing for that part. We'll watch. I'm not going to continue this coverage for that though. So you've been watching Weather Live now. This is a YouTube channel, just started about a year ago. Appreciate you guys being here. And again, keep those shares coming and likes of the program. It does help. Yes, Echo Warden, they have been getting a lot of severe weather this past month. It's been very busy. Several episodes from Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and now Georgia. Several episodes. It's not that atypical for April. I would expect these storms to begin to lift to the north though in time. Next few weeks, I think we stay active as far as potential of severe weather across the central United States. I'm going to do one final radar analysis, and then we're going to cut this one, and we're going to let you go back to your normal programming. I've got another show coming up at 4:45 on my Facebook page. Find me if you don't already follow me on Facebook. That's Jeremy Capel. Capel, by the way, spelled with a K. All right, going back over to Analyst Radar. The main threat now over the Atlantic Ocean, and it does continue to look like it's weakening too. That bugaboo's out of here. Looking for pockets of rotation within this QLCS, or quasi-linear convective system. It looks like most population centers, though, not really in line. You've got the Outer Banks out there. Otherwise, we are seeing an outflow-dominated look to the squall line further south. I wouldn't even consider it a squall line. But outflow-dominated, meaning the threat of severe weather reaching Jacksonville, not that great. Not that great. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and let this one go. Thank you for being here. Again, you've been watching Weather Live Now. I'm meteorologist Jeremy Capel. Appreciate you guys. I want to close out with a thanks to our sponsors. Don't plan on having to do another one today, but we'll watch any developments that occur out in Alabama. In the meantime, thank you for being here. Echo, Tiger, PETA, Kevin, Andy, we appreciate you. Brett Davison and Jacob Gooding, thank you for being on. We'll talk to you guys next time. You guys enjoy the rest of your week, and hey, weekend's almost here. Enjoy. Hopefully the weather near you is nice. Bye.